What's going on? Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It's been a couple days since I uploaded, man. I've had a couple busy days. Didn't have a live show on Friday because I was up at Hallis Hall covering day one of Bears rookie minicamp, and traffic didn't allow me to get back in time to do the show. So we'll be back next Friday. Per usual, we will have a lot to talk about on this. Look forward to that. Me and Bang. I'm not gonna hold you, but as usual, I drop the usual. I'm not gonna hold you shorts during the week. So this is the first one of the week, man. Got a couple on deck for y'all this week. The NFL schedule will officially drop on Thursday. So we will fully go over that stuff. Of course, you'll get me and Bang's opinions on it on Friday, but I'm gonna do an extensive breakdown on Thursday, which I think is some of the key matchups, and I'll give my thoughts on some of the Bears' schedule before me and my brother do a full 79th and Hallis next week on that, man. So look out for that. New Soccer for Dummies tomorrow. I'm actually about to record that after I record this. So before we get to all that, please subscribe to the channel. Please press subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. Share, tell your friends to get in tune with what we're doing here at Scott's World of Sports. We cover everything from the NFL, more specifically the Chicago Bears, the NBA, and the beautiful game of football or soccer, whichever one you want to call it. That's what we cover over here, man. So follow me at Barkchair Scott, all social media platforms. Please subscribe to the Patreon. The link is also in the description box. And if you are lazy and you don't feel like scrolling down, you can always scroll. I mean, you can always scan the QR code right on the screen. It will take you right to that. The plan is to do a new episode of Summer Sessions tomorrow. We haven't done one in months. So the plan is to do that. So look out for that on Wednesday, man. But anyway, today I'm here to talk about the Chicago Bulls. Yes, this franchise right here that last won a championship 28 years ago. The team that I fell in love with 30 years ago, and the team that is the reason for me doing this podcast right now, just my obsession with sports in general. When I was just a young 8-year-old kid on the south side of Chicago, and I was introduced to Michael Jordan on game 6 of the 1996 finals, and my life was never the same. Of course, you know about my boycott from all Jerry Reinsdorf teams. I got a Bulls cot that has been going on for approximately 4 years now. I started my boycott at the end of the 21-22 season. I had enough. That's when I got off the bandwagon as far as believing in the direction of that team. And with the White Sox, it was the same year, just later on in the year after the 22 season ended. So we're coming up on 4 years on that. So just so you know what this Bull Cotton Sox Cot is about, for some of you like to call me, well, not some. Actually, I haven't had nobody call me this, but I know some of y'all like, oh, why you ain't root? I'm a diehard sportsman. Losing, I can deal with losing. Obviously, from the picture right here, these losers that I cover extensively and that I love more than maybe anybody on this planet, the Chicago Bears, are losers up until last season. Okay, so obviously I don't have an issue with losing. That's not why I am boycotting. I don't like teams that don't have a plan. Now, we can say right now that the White Sox have a plan, and it looks like maybe the Bulls are finally putting together a plan. So you might be asking a question, what is going to take you to get off your Bulls kite or your Sox kite? This is what needs to happen. For the White Sox, I need them to fully develop this young talent that they've got. The only person on this roster for the Chicago White Sox that I 100% believe in is Murakami. And that's only because he's pretty much developed before he got here. This is not somebody who was in the White Sox system, and the White Sox had to develop. The main problem with the last rebuild was development. Obviously, hiring the wrong coach. They should have hired A.J. Hinch, but instead they hired Tony La Russa. That was just a cherry on top of a failed rebuild. But more importantly, the development of the players. Didn't develop Yohan Moncada. Didn't develop Eloy Jimenez. Didn't develop Oscar Colas I can be here all day naming all the prospects that came up and it didn't do anything. Luis Robert and things like that. And also not investing in free agency, we're not willing to give Manny Machado the extra 25 million. Now you might be wondering what this guy do to the Bulls. This is if you clicked on this and you were really hear some bull stuff, just give me a second. This is all fluid. It's all under the Reinsdorf rainbow. all under Reinsdorf umbrella. I mean, okay, so I'm getting to that. I'm connecting to it. Um, Not paying the extra 25 million for Manny Machado, instead giving it to his bum ass family. Not really taking the Bryce Harper meeting seriously when he was really interested in coming here. Those things. And then you take the person who's in charge of developing this young talent, Mr. Chris Getz, and you decide to make him general manager. Now, the light at the end of the tunnel is that the White Sox will have a new owner within the next 4 to 5 years. Okay. I want to add more to that, but we are not behind Patreon walls, so I will not be saying what I want to say as far as that. But within the next 5 years at the max, there will be a new owner of this team. Now we can sit up here and talk about whether Justin Ishbia is qualified to be the owner, considering what his brother has done with the Phoenix Suns. It's not something I want my franchise modeled over, but whatever. We'll see. So for me to actually pay to watch the White Sox. By the way, you have to pay to watch the White Sox now because they are on Chicago Sports Network, which is not included in most Xfinity packages across the great state of Illinois. Okay, so in order for me to pay to watch them, they've got to develop this talent fully, and they've got to prove to me they're going to actually spend money in free agency. Because it's not just about development. If you want to consistently win divisions, win pennants, and be in the World Series year in and year out, you're going to have to spend money. Obviously, this is not just a White Sox thing. This is a league-wide thing, and that's exactly why there will be a lockout this time next season. Okay? So, but that's what it will take for me. So in order to see that, in order for that to happen, that's when I will pay to watch this team, start going back to games. I'll always be a fan. You know what I'm saying? So let's not get that. So with the Bulls, unfortunately for the Bulls, this team will never be sold. Because unlike the Chicago White Sox, the Chicago Bulls are one of the biggest brands, and not just the NBA, but in sports. Okay. Now they ain't won nothing in almost 30 years, but as a brand, their brand is massive. They always are in the top two, top three, and a lot of times leading the league in attendance. The jersey sales are always through the roof. Merchandise sales are always through the roof. I've lived in different cities, and I lived in Los Angeles for 10 years, where the Lakers are king. And I've been to Laker games where they played the Bulls, and it was a half crowd, Bulls fans and Laker fans, okay? So the brand is there, and that's why they would never sell the Bulls, even though I think that they would make so much money if the Bulls went on the market. Now, they hired a new president of basketball, well, assistant, executive vice president of basketball operations. They hired Bryson Graham. Bryson Graham, formerly with the Atlanta Hawks, and he was also with the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and act like I know much about this young man. I'm calling him young man. I need to see how old he is. Let me see how old Bryson Graham is. Am I older than him? Cue the Jeopardy music. Bryson Graham age. He is 39, so he is 2 years older than me. So yeah, I'll call him young man, even though he's 2 years older than me. We would have been in high school at the same time. I'm not finna sit up here and act like I know about his history and things like that. I don't know. I wish the brother a lot of success. One, because he's black, and I want to see black executives do well in sports. And two, because I won't say my life's online because I have reached the point of apathy with this team. But I would love to see the team that made me fall in love with sports be relevant again. I'm not asking for an NBA championship. I just want this team to be in the playoffs. And I mean the playoffs, not the play in. Okay. We were the play in all stars the last 4 or 5 years. I want this team to actually be in the playoffs, be a top 6 seed, and actually competing and going on that course of being a young team, flirting with. See, playing is fine when you're a young team that's on the cusp and you're going in the right directions in your rebuild, right? Then your playing is acceptable. But then after that, then you want to get into the top 6. Then after that, let's get into the top 4. We have home court advantage. Then after that, let's be actually legitimate contenders. So I think that both the White Sox and the Bulls have great foundations right now to build on. I'm just extremely cautious that both are going to get to where they need to be. Now, let's talk about more specifically the Bulls because that's what this video is about. That yesterday was one of the best sporting days for me that I've had in a long time. First of all, my soccer team, Arsenal Football Club, is 5 points away from winning the Premier League in 3 wins away in general, winning the Premier League and the Champions League. So that was a great morning, afternoon in general. And then about 30 to 45 minutes after that game ended, well, yeah, about an hour and a half after that game ended, the Bulls were in a draft lottery. And the Bulls had, I think it was a 4.5% chance to get into the top four. Let me go back into my research to check what percentage did the Bulls have to jump in the lottery. So let's see. Hit the Jeopardy music. Do, 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 do. So they had a 20. Okay. Yeah, okay, so they had a 20.3% chance. They had a 4.5% chance of jumping into the number one pick. Still, 20.3%, that's not even a quarter. So these were low odds. So the Bulls jumped from 9 to 4. Now, I'm also not on this video going to be telling you who they need to be draft, who they need to, who I think they need to draft, because this is um a very talented NBA draft. And there's going to be a lot of guys who they should probably get. I personally would prefer Caleb Wilson from North Carolina. I think that'd be a good pick. But I really don't think you can go wrong. There's about 5 to 6 dudes in this draft. And on top of that, the Bulls also have the 15th pick. So it's a real good foundation. Now, they have to pick well. Because last time the Bulls had the 4th pick, these losers took Patrick Williams. And we all know how that ended up. Oh, he's going to be the next Kawhi. Okay, look, man. Kawhi ain't come off the bench in college. That's number one. Number two, there's 2 things that Patrick Williams and Kawhi Leonard have in common. They're both black and they both wear cornrows. Besides that, they have nothing in common, okay? So you cannot make that mistake again, especially in that same draft Tyrese Halliburton was in, okay? And I think there was somebody else in that draft too who didn't get either. So we can't have that again. So you need to pick the right dude. I will say this about the new vice president. He sounds smart and he sounds like, he can make this work. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here. But this is a great opportunity. And this is a great opportunity to change the narrative around this team. Let's actually get some fun young guys on this team to watch. If there's anything that the White Sox do, they have some fun talent to watch right now. You can watch Murakami, who leads the major leagues in home runs. You can watch Colson Montgomery. You can watch some of the younger pitchers they've got right now. You know what I'm saying? So if you're going to lose, at least be a young team that's exciting to watch. The Bulls haven't had that in, I think the last time the Bulls had a young, fun, exciting team had to be like the first year or two that Derrick Rose was here before they became a championship contender in 2010, 2011. So the first 2 seasons of Poole's career. That was about 17 years ago, okay? Because even with AK inherited the Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn type thing. And then he wouldn't compete now mode by trading for Nikola Vucevic. And then, getting DeMar. He just never really gave it. I feel like they retooled more than they rebuilt. This, I believe, is the first rebuild that the Bulls have done in almost 20 years. And I have been saying they need to. So when you had the 4th pick and you had the 15th pick, those are 2 guys to really come in and bring in your core. But the guy who I believe has a lot of promise in Matas Buzelis. That is something you can build around right there. So I think for the Bulls, for me to get rid of my Bulls, Kai. So since I know they're not going to sell the team, we can get that out. They need to hire the right coach and they need to hire the right GM. Okay, so those are the next 2 things they need to do. And if they go out there this offseason and they get a guy who is worthy of that 4th pick, and they get a guy who's worthy of that 15th pick, and they at least have a young, fun team, you can sell me on breaking it for next season. I just want to know that the strategy that is in place makes sense, okay? I'm not 100% sure the White Sox strategy has really changed much. We've heard about, prospect after prospect after prospect. But until those prospects can prove to me that they're actually good, then we got a little way. I still think that. So I think that to kind of bring it all together, there's not too much to say about this. I'm not going to say who they should pick or who they're not. I have a video that's going to be coming out about that soon, where we're going to do in-depth breakdown. I won't say soon, within the next month, before the draft happens, we'll have a breakdown on who are the actual options for the Bulls at the fourth pick, and we'll talk about that. Um, but I just think that this is, if you want to be the optimistic Bulls fan, this is a great start. You bring in a new young vice president who's going to bring in his guy as head coach, who's going to bring in his guy as general manager. Um, and now he has a fourth pick and a 15th pick to really build his team. You can be optimistic about that. And I know this video says Bulls get fourth pick, but I'm including the White Sox in this entire video because there's a lot of parallels here. And if you're a White Sox fan, you can say, if you want to be optimistic, you can look at it and say, this team has some young talent. They're exciting. They got a young manager. You know, even though it's only May, they are a game out of first place. Now, we all know you don't even glance at the Major League Baseball standings till August. I understand that. But I'm saying, if you want to be king positive, that's how you look at that. So they have something here. They're building the foundations of a plan. Now, if you want to be somebody like me who's apathetic towards both of these teams and is very pessimistic with both of these teams because of the owner who runs them, I would say decent start. I need to see more before I believe. So that's pretty much what I'm at. I think it's a great week for the Bulls. I think it's been a great start to the season, to the off season for them. I think there's opportunity here, and if you're a Bulls fan, it's all you can ask for is opportunity. So now we'll see who they're gonna hire for head coach, who's gonna be general manager. I'm pretty sure that's gonna be um, decided before uh, you know the draft happens. Like, obviously, you want to have your head coach and your GM in place before the draft. So I would assume that we'll probably have both before the start of the NBA Finals. So there's a lot of mixed signals on who the candidates are, because I think Matt Lloyd was the rumor to be the president for this, and he didn't get the job. So we'll see how it all plays out. I think it's a decent start for the Bulls, and yeah, man, if you want to be positive, that's how it should be, man. So that's all I got to say about the Bulls. We will go more in depth on this. We'll get Bang's opinion on Friday on the live stream. So that's all I got for y'all. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. I'll holler at y'all next time. I'm out of here.